I'm going to show you a really simple and quick way to paint your Radroaches for Fallout Wasteland Warfare, and all of the paints that I use are going to be listed in the video description if you want to check them out. So let's get stuck in. First off, I primed the miniatures with a black rattle can, and then base coated the Radroaches with Army Painter's Oak Brown, giving them a couple of coats for an even finish. Next, I painted the ground on the base with Army Painter's Leather Brown. Now I used a different shade of brown here just so you could differentiate between the roaches and the dirt. If we painted the ground in Oak Brown too, they'd all just kind of blur together, and we'll build upon this contrast with some dry brushing in a moment. Next, we're going to get our leather brown once again and dry brush our Radroaches just to pick out the highlights. We want a very light dusting here, and don't be afraid to get a brush afterwards and just edge highlight the ridges on the roach's thorax. Equally, don't be afraid if some of this dry brushing gets onto the base. It's just leather brown as well, and that's why we're doing it at this stage, so that if we are a little bit messy, it's all kind of hidden. But we just want a very light dusting on the bodies of the Radroach itself, just to pick out those edges. To finish off base coating the base, I used Army Painter's Uniform Grey just to paint the rocks, and once that was done, I applied a light layer of Citadel's Egg-Rack's Earthshade. Now we don't want to add a pile of wash to the base so that we have pools of it all over the place. This is usually what happens when we use a wash like this or Nuln Oil. We add a ton of it and just call it a day. The reason we're not doing that is that we want the wash to darken the tone of the leather brown and add a little bit of a griminess to it without creating pools of brown, which just wouldn't really make sense and would just look weird if we were to look at it. I'd encourage you to try adding washes in this way next time you use them. I used a similar technique in my Beast Patience painting guide, which you can check out in the top right if you want to see what happened there, and it's amazing what some restraint can create when you apply washes. So just take a normal brush, just kind of dab it into your wash and just lightly apply it over the base, not allowing any pools to really be created anywhere. Next, we're going to get some Desert Yellow from Army Painter and dry brush the base. This will start to lighten the dirt and add some texture, and once dried, we'll then add another dry brushing layer with Skeleton Bone. Now feel free to dry brush the stones with the Skeleton Bone as well, as it will bring out the edge of the stone really nicely as well. We only want a very light dusting with the Skeleton Bone so that the bright ivory colour doesn't just turn the entire base a bright, almost white colour. We just want to catch the most extreme highlights and edges here. As a finishing touch, grab some Nuln Oil from Citadel and lightly apply this to the legs of the Radroaches. Now this will help just lift them from the dirt and add some definition, because the legs of the Radroaches have probably been covered by all of the dry brushing layers we've added, and they'll probably just really be blending in with the base at this point. We don't want any pools of the Nuln Oil, so be careful to only apply this lightly, but what you'll find is that the Nuln Oil kind of rests along the edges of the legs and just lifts them out a little bit and separates them from the base. And with that, you've completed your Radroaches. This is a really simple and quick paint scheme to achieve, and with it, I was able to paint all 6 of my roaches in one sitting. If you find this helpful though and are looking for some other Fallout painting guides to get through your pile of grey, check out this video next.